Let's get some prize picks in today, guys. I'm going to recap last night's picks. I said I put them throughout different entries. You see, the first one here was the Mahomes Jordan Love combo with the Kelsey and Christian Watson combo. So these guys actually both ended up going over. I said the value was on the under, but doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to go under. Unfortunately, they both went over, so wrong direction there. Also, you can see we only lost by 2 yards on the passing yards combo. I always say it, but every yard, every point, every half point counts. So make sure you're always getting the best value. Anyways, I'll show you the other picks. I went with Stafford on less pass attempts with Kyren Williams on over rush attempts. And this stack also did not hit. This game versus Cleveland was much closer than it was supposed to be, or than I intended it to be. So Stafford did end up throwing quite a bit. Only 3 pass attempts off to actually hit together with Williams, but Williams did crush his line up at 21. As for the last one I gave in the video, it did perfectly hit. So Purdy and Deebo Samuel both on the unders. So Purdy under pass completions and Deebo Samuel under receptions. So overall 3-3 day there. So nothing crazy. Since it's Monday, I will do a recap of the last week of the Discord. And you can see here 56.2 units up on Prizepicks, 18 units up on Underdog. So that's plus 75 units in 1 week. The previous week was right here, so 10.7 units and 10 units. So this week actually crushed the first week out of the water. You see, it's mostly due to this big day on Prizepicks. On Tuesday, we went up 49.4 units with 2 6 flexes hit and 1 5 flex hit. And then also on Saturday, we hit 19.2 units because we hit another 6 flex. On Underdog, we hit 28 units on this one day on Friday because of a 5 power. So you can see I'm not winning every day. -7 here, -1, -9. But it's really these big days that sort of outweigh the bad days, especially on Prizepicks where we're going for 6 flexes. So anyways, if you guys are interested in joining Discord, link is always in the description.
Are you tired of looking like this after a night on Prizepicks? For the price of that Big Mac combo you chowed down on this week, get access to hundreds of picks. Connect your Discord to WAP with the link in the description and be added straight to the premium Discord. We'll be sending every single Prizepicks slip we place.
So we'll get on the board for today. It's an extremely small board, only 2 NBA games and 1 NFL. But I do have some great value. And we're going to kick it off with the NFL picks. So on both these games, I like the unders on the passing yards with the receivers. So start with Trevor Lawrence on the under 246.5 pass yards. And I'll show you the value on these and why I'm going with this. We're going to stack him with Calvin Ridley on under 58.5 receiving yards. Now, I'm not actually going to put this in my entry because I already have him in a different entry, but just to show you guys that it is a good one to take. Trevor Lawrence's consensus line is set at 242.5, which basically means all the sportsbooks are agreeing that his line should be set here. Now, Prizepicks is the only outlier here saying, let's set him at 243.5. So that's too high, obviously. We're getting a full yard extra. And if you guys don't think a yard matters, I showed you in the intro with that Mahomes and Jordan Love combo that every yard counts. I know we lost by like 2-3, but every yard counts. I've lost many times by 1 yard, half a yard, whatever it is. So you want to be getting as many yards on your side. And to top it off, Ridley is also overvalued here. So consensus at 57.5. Prizepicks has him at 58.5. So both the QB and the receiver are both overvalued by 1 point. So we want to be grabbing the unders on this. So we're not only taking these guys together because their lines are too high, but also because these guys complement each other so much. You can see in the first 3 games of the season, you have red, red, green for Trevor Lawrence, and you have green, red, red for Ridley. So the first 3 games, these guys actually did not hit together. But if you check every other game of the season, there's been 11. So the next 8 games, they hit together in exactly every single game. So you see red, green, red, red. And if I go over to Lawrence, you see red, green, red, red. You can also see in the past 2 games here, they also hit together. So in the past 8 games, these guys have hit in the exact same direction. So that's why we're grabbing the unders on both of them. So if you're wondering why I'm not going with Kirk here, he doesn't go as well with Trevor Lawrence as Ridley does. So you might as well take the guys that stack together most. You can see there's a lot of green here on Kirk, but you can see on Trevor Lawrence, his chart does not exactly look like Kirk's. You want the charts to look pretty much identical. Obviously, they're not identical in this case, but past 8 games being exactly the same is what you want to see. So that's going to be the first stack that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. I'm not going to be putting in this entry again. I already put in a different one, but that's a good one to be taking for any other of your entries that you want to take. The next one is actually going to be even better. It's going to be Jake Browning on the under passing yards. I'm going to stack this with Jamar Chase on the under 59.5 receiving yards. So Browning only played 1 game because Burrow got injured, but this was a stack I was taking with Burrow. Of course, Chase is the main receiver, so he's going to be getting the bulk of the yards or not getting the bulk of the yards if the QB is going under. So in this case, you can see Browning in the past 2 games, he went under and over, and same with Jamar Chase, went under and over in the past 2 games. It's not much to go off of, but it is a good stack. I know it works with Burrow, so I'm assuming it's going to work with Browning too. And just to show you why we're grabbing the unders, these guys are way too overvalued. Consensus at 214.5. We're getting at 220.5. That's 6 yards, guys. 6 yards is so many yards, and it gets better because Jamar Chase is also overvalued like crazy. We have him at 55.5 consensus. We're getting him at 59.5. We have 4 yards advantage on Jamar Chase. We have 6 yards advantage on Browning. If you're taking the over, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, yes, you might like the Bengals and you might think they're going to have a good shootout game, but the data says the actual good pick is the under here. And I'm not saying it's going to go under, like I said in yesterday's video, but the actual good pick is the under. And in the long run, when you're thinking like this and making your picks like this, you will be up because you're leveraging the data to your advantage. So that is going to be the stack for football here. You can see Jake Browning, Jamar Chase, both unders. Now we're going to go over to the NBA to finish this slip off. I'm going to start it off with another one that I'm absolutely loving. It's going to be CJ McCollum on the over 5 assists. I mean, this guy has never missed this prop. I know he just came back recently on December 1st, November 29th, and the rest of the season was a bit earlier in the season, but he has never missed this. But he has at least pushed or won this prop throughout the whole season. So I'll show you on this season. If I set this to 5, you could see either green or pushes. So never missed. But that's not the reason I'm taking him. I want to stack him with Herbert Jones on the over 9.5 points. There is a consensus of a slight juice towards that over 9.5. So that's good to see first off. Also for CJ, I just forgot to show you. Consensus at 5.5. We're getting him at 5 on Prizepicks. So already pretty good there. Pretty fair to have him at 5 rather than 5.5. That's why we're grabbing the over. If it was set at 5.5, I would grab the under. But this is why I'm going with 5 as fair. If you actually look at the game log here, CJ went over, under, over. So remember that. Over, under, over. If you look at Herbert Jones, over, under, over, which didn't hit together with CJ, but over again. So in the first 6 games, these guys hit in the same direction 5 out of 6 times. Now recently, when he came back, I believe it was in the San Antonio game here. So San Antonio, they both hit together. I'm not sure the website doesn't show his line for the Philly game, but I believe it was set at 4. So he did actually go over in the Philly game, and Herb Jones did not go over. But just to say, CJ has played 8 games, and 6 of 8 of those went in the same direction as Herb Jones. So that's why we're grabbing CJ on the over 5 assists, and we're going to stack him with Herbert Jones on the over 9.5 points. So juice towards both these guys over, and the fact that they hit in 6 out of 8 games. So that's going to be the first NBA stack. It's crazy how, as according to this video, CJ just gets bumped to 5.5. And I just said, though, if he does get bumped to 5.5, I will grab his under. But this time I'm not going to grab him with Herb Jones. I'm going to grab him with Jonas Valanciunas. We're going to grab him on the under 12.5 points. And the reason was I was checking some value on some players before this video, and there is value towards Jonas's under at minus 125. So I do like that stack better when it comes to the under. And I don't mind getting CJ at 5.5. I do actually think that's too high for him. As I showed you on the consensus, and I'll show you on the sports books again, his assist line is juiced towards that under at 5.5. So I don't mind this at all. It'd be really unfortunate if CJ does go over with Herb Jones tonight, but I don't mind this switch into the under at 5.5 with Jonas Valanciunas. So that's going to be the first stack. Now for the last 2 picks, I'm going to give you 2 options here. It's going to be in the Pacers-Celtics game here, and it's going to revolve around Obi Toppin or Tyrese Haliburton. And the problem is both these guys are game time decisions. See, Toppin is questionable for Monday. Sprained ankle listed questionable. I don't like that, but it is a quarterfinals game in the play-in tournament. So I'm hoping that these guys will sort of show up and want to play, and hopefully their injuries are not too severe. Tyrese Haliburton was ruled out Saturday due to illness. So, I mean, that was 2 nights ago. Hopefully he's feeling a bit better. So I don't know how sick he is, but hopefully he's not going to miss the play-in tournament for sickness. So that's kind of why it's up in the air between Obi Toppin and Tyrese Haliburton. The one I was going to go with is a stack with Bruce Brown on the over 2.5 assists. And I really love this with Tyrese Haliburton on the over points. But the problem is Prizepicks has not even put up his points prop yet. They have his fantasy score as 3 points attempted. And I don't really like his fantasy score. I don't like it at 49.5. I prefer his props if it was set at 27.5 on the points. Now, the way to get around this is I could grab Tyrese Haliburton and Jason Tatum over 58 points combo. Tatum does have juice towards that over points. And look at that. They actually just bumped his line to 31.5. It was at 30.5. So lines are ripping towards Tatum's over 30.5. So honestly, I will go with that just because I saw that line movement right there. But the other one I was going to go with is Obi Toppin on the over 11.5 points. Again, Toppin does have juice towards his points. And especially if Tyrese is out, it will help him get that points total. So you could go with Toppin if you do want that. But just because of that Tatum line movement, I do like this stack. And we're going to hope Tyrese does play. I do think he will. And we're going to lock this one in for tonight.